Hello, one and all. This is Peter Palmiotti of Human Studios, and this is Making Comics and Art with our special guest, Melissa Sercia, who we'll be getting to in a minute. So a few basic things. Trying to grow my channel. If you're new here, then give me a subscribe. Trying to pass 1,000, and actually, let's see, we'll go here. I just made this up based off of one of the people that was in my previous chats suggested I do a special stream. So I'm going to do a sketch card giveaway draw stream when I reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watched hours. Currently at 946 and just under 1,000. So probably around October we'll be doing this. I'll be drawing a bunch of sketch cards and giving them away to people that will show up during the stream. And I'm going to try to get some other people involved, but I don't know when that's going to be, so we'll get there when we get there. The only other thing I want to do really quick is I have a 1K subscriber club. This is my old one. I forgot to update it. Anyway, you get the point. It's my Facebook group, Create Our Own Comics group. I'm trying to help promote other YouTubers and grow their channels. Links are down below, not for these people, but for other people. I'll make sure I have the right one next time. That's enough about that. I can talk for hours here. Salazar showed up early, so you couldn't make it. That's okay. Oh, I should turn this off. Oh, I forgot. Okay, go away. Here we are. And we have Landon. Hey man, I'm at work right now, so maybe can't comment a lot, but I'm listening. Good luck with the show. What's up, Peter? Hearts. Welcome, one and all. Yeah, so I'm working on Retro, my comic. Trying to get it done this month. People are throwing more work at me, so life is chaotic. How are you doing today, Melissa? What's new with you?
I'm good. Aside from the plumbing issue in my house, yeah, I'm good. I'm super happy to be here. It's fun. We hit it off on Spoiler Country on my podcast, so yeah, I'm excited to get to know your world a little bit.
Cool. Did that air, by the way, or is that coming up, or what's the scenario with that?
It hasn't. Yeah, no, it hasn't aired yet. We're a little bit behind on episodes.
Okay.
We just, yeah. Well, it'll probably be out within the next month, and I'll totally tag you in it and everything, so that way you
Right.
can share it and stuff. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people can find Spoiler Country on Twitter, right?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
on scpod.net, and then we're on everything, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and stuff like that. So yeah, we're on Twitter at Spoiler Country. And yeah, we interview everybody from, well, people like yourself and your brother. And I interviewed the actor that played Oksana on Black Widow. So we do a lot of actors and comic book stuff. So yeah, check it out.
Cool. Just the Palmiottis as far as comic book stuff.
Yeah, right. Just the Palmiotti. That's it. We don't allow any other comic book people.
So you're here today as an author.
Yes.
How long have you been writing?
Well, writing I've been doing obviously my whole life. But publishing as an author, 2018 is when I published my debut novel, Blood and Magic, and yeah, it's been quite the journey. But yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I would play around with like poetry and songs and short stories. But I started taking it seriously when I was in like my early to mid 30s. Just thought, oh, I could do this for a living. I really want to do it. So, why not? Let's give it a shot. And it kind of launched this like entirely new life for me, essentially. So, yeah.
Is it a big thing for you, or is it something you do on the side?
No, it's my main thing. It's my main
It's your
thing.
main
I
thing.
mean,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, well, it kind of became my main thing. More so because of the pandemic. I was doing it as part time because I was working full time in hospitality and trying to write books on the side. And then as soon as the pandemic hit and I was home, all the time, I thought, okay, I need to write more and publish more books. And so I have a traditional publisher, but then I started doing indie publishing as well. And that kind of just like became more full-time focus within the last year and a half. And yeah, so I'm hoping to just kind of, keep that going as a full-time gig.
I'm sure there's a lot of people like myself. It's like I've dabbled. It's
Mhm.
like I had different interests throughout my life. Comics have always been there, and writing is a part of comics. But
Right.
I was very interested in writing a novel, and I've attempted a couple of times. I will eventually get around to doing one day.
Yeah, you
Um,
should.
so how was like your very first novel, like attempting to write that? Like, did you start with an outline, or you just went
Oh my God.
crazy and jumped in?
I had like no clue what I was doing in the beginning. I mean, I've been reading novels forever, but it's one thing to read them and another thing to like try to write one. So, I'm sure you found out, yeah, I think initially I just had like a character, my main character. She came to me, and I knew I always wanted to write something paranormal and horror genre, vampires and things like that. I'm a huge fan of Anne Rice and Stephen King, so I kind of just was like, all right, I have this idea. Let me sketch it out. But I know it took me like 5 years, like for my first novel, which is crazy because I can write a book in like 2 months now. But initially I didn't know anything. So I started just researching and like taking workshops and reading craft books and just listening, really just listening to people. And I joined like the writing community on Twitter and joined some groups. And yeah, it was a big learning process for sure. And yeah, but no, I didn't even know how to outline. I was just writing scenes, like random scenes. I found this software program called Scrivener. And
Right.
I just was like, all right, I'll just write random scenes and bits of dialogue. And then I started getting into like character development and kind of creating my cast of characters. But yeah, I didn't start to it was probably like 2 years after I like decided I was going to do it that I actually wrote the first draft and started to take it more seriously cuz I just kind of like procrastinated it, for a while. And then yeah, once I wrote the first draft and I was like, all right, now I got to figure out how to edit and revise, and that's like it's a whole other bag of worms to learn when you don't know what's going on. So, yeah, no, it's hard. It's definitely hard. I mean, everyone that writes a book, I mean, if you can finish that book, like hats off to you, like whether you publish it or not, like it's a huge thing and you should be proud of yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I had somebody come to me and wanted me to write novel for their sort of character and universe, and
Hmm.
it didn't happen, but it would have been nice. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
they were willing to give me an advance and everything. It's like, oh, I'll be set.
Hmm.
But of course,
Yeah.
too good to be true, and life happened, whatever. But
Right.
so, uh, what was it like working through a publisher for you?
Oh, it was cool because I had no experience. I didn't know what to expect, and I was very lucky. I say this a lot. Like I was really lucky to sell my first novel because it's not usually the case. And they were so supportive and like nurturing through the whole process, and I learned so much just from working with them, like having editors and cover artists and just like guiding my career essentially. So, yeah, I highly recommend it. I mean, everyone has their own path. I've said that before too. Like, you have to do what's right for you. But like, I wouldn't have been able to get into indie publishing if I hadn't had this experience with a small press beforehand, because it really teaches you about the business. And because that's really what it is. I mean, we all love creating and, being like, brooding artists or whatever. But like in the end, if you want it to be a business, it has to be treated like one. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the process. And they've been great, and they're like supportive of my indie career too. Like, I was worried at first that they were going to be like, "Oh no, she's leaving us," and it's like, "No, I'm not leaving you. I'm just doing something else." And they were just really supportive of it. So, that's like helpful too. But yeah, it's a tough business. Like, you have to be like prepared for criticism and like have a thick skin and just know that like to not take certain things personal. Like, I know like you as an artist, like you're probably really attached to your work and doing it yourself, like being an indie artist, you get complete control over like what you want to do. But when you're with a publisher, as you also know, because I know you've worked with like DC and Marvel,
Yep.
you can't take it personal. Like, if they tell you they don't like it, like it's nothing against you. It's just like that's not what they're like envisioning.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, one of the things, like, you put your heart and soul and sweat into everything you do, regardless if it turns out great or bad or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and like I specifically remember like working for Marvel in DC. It's like, unless you're working for the top on one of their top three books, you're not getting the press from them. And you're not getting
Right. Yeah.
your book's not getting ads in their other books, or it's all that kind of stuff. Well,
Right.
it's like I know, like I thought to take my own path. It's like I knew going into the comic industry that my brother was already there,
Mhm.
and that would be a thing, you know. Um,
Right.
so I've always tried to take my own path and go my own way. And when I was on Aquaman, they had a tendency to just like put the last name as credit on the
Mm.
covers.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, that's not going to work. Make it my first and last initials and then my last name.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I thought just P Palmiotti looked weird, so I made it PL Palmiotti.
Right.
um,
And you wanted
uh,
people to like know you, not just your
y-
brother. Like, you want to make
yeah,
your own name. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, fighting for that, fighting for like Aquaman at the time was in the top, it was like number 75 or thereabouts in the top
Mhm.
100 books according to Wizard at the time. So
That's big deal. Yeah.
it was doing good, although we still felt like it wasn't a top tier book.
Well, but did you feel like did you get a surge at all like when the movie came out, or did that not affect it at all?
I mean, it's like that was many years later
Right.
that the movie
Yeah.
came out. But I did get a call from DC Comics because when we were doing Aquaman, we signed a certain contract that said a certain thing,
Mhm.
and they essentially null and voided that
Oh
and
wow.
gave us a new contract so that we would make royalties on the trade. That
Okay.
once the movie came out, they did two trades with Peter David's Aquaman stories. I think the first one was like his miniseries and maybe some other books, and the second one had I guess the first batch of the Aquaman series I was working on. I did work
Yeah.
on, and so I got a check in the mail. It was nice. It was nice of them. It
Yeah.
wasn't thousands, but it
No, it
was
never is.
okay.
That's like the biggest misconception that people have. I think that like we're all just making a crap ton of money, and it's it's not like that. Like, we do it because we want to do it because we love it. I think
Who's
it's
that? Somebody you know?
oh,
Let me see
that's my
this.
dad, Giovanni. That's
Cool,
my
cool.
dad.
Welcome.
Yeah, as you can see the last name. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. So you're part of the process as far as like what goes on your covers and stuff. I find that interesting.
Yeah, it's here's the thing, like, most traditional publishers, I've heard mixed things, like, from other friends. a lot of publishers don't even show you the cover. You just kind of get it when they make it. And then there's other like publishers that will ask for your input. I'm lucky City Owl Press is my publisher, and they're considered a small press, soon to be a mid-size, I think, to be honest, in my opinion, because they're just growing so much. They actually really valued my input. And of course they get the final say. It's, their product that they're putting out in the long run. But I really love that they like care about like what I think, but one of the things too, when you're beginning, you don't really understand. You get so like attached to your stories, and you want this cover in your head that maybe might not make sense marketing wise. So as I've grown in the industry and I've learned like what sells and like what you have to do to like you have like the trend or the genre accurate, sometimes the cover is not going to coincide with the vision you have, so that part has been interesting to learn about. And so now I'm not really attached to like my covers as much as I used to be. But then when you go indie, obviously you have complete control. So I've been trying to like make sure that I'm being objective and not just going with the cover that I love. I have to make sure that it's like something that readers are going to see and go, okay, I know exactly what that book's about. Because it's really what you want. You want to make sure that your cover is true to the genre. And if you like look at any top 100 list on Amazon and in a particular genre, you'll see that like a lot of the covers look the same. And that used to bug me, but now I realize like that's part of it. Like that's what readers want. They want to see like a recognizable theme in the cover to let them know like, okay, this is what I'm getting into. So that's like something that I think from like the time when I was first starting till now was like a huge learning curve.
Yeah, it's so true. Like I know from going to bookstores and going even to Walmart and like their book section and looking at certain books, and they have certain looks. Like, romance is one thing, fantasy has a different look, sci-fi has a different look, like just the genres itself, like split the difference there.
Yeah. I know comic books are the same. I had a conversation, and I'm totally blanking on who I was talking to at this moment, so sorry if you're listening. But I was talking to someone about this as well in comics, that it's the same thing for them. Like there's comic books that don't sell because their cover doesn't really match like what it is, like the content. They just kind of went with whatever they wanted to go with, and the reader doesn't know. They think it's going to be one thing, and then they read it and it's something else, and that can kind of like piss people off sometimes, because they're like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. So it's the same for comics too. Like you have to make sure that you're, if you're doing a superhero comic, like it has to reflect that on the cover.
So on your own books that you've created, do you go with the format? Do you split from it?
No, I kind of do a little bit of both, to be honest. I like to have like a true to genre cover and title and blurb, but at the same time I put like my own uniqueness on it, because I do want to obviously stand out from the masses a little bit. So I mean, I rate like my new series is paranormal romance, but it's also billionaire romance, which is something that I wasn't seeing a lot of at the time, and now I'm seeing it happen more often. It was just like two separate genres, and now I feel like more people are blending it together. So I think my covers definitely show that it's romance. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily scream paranormal, but it does scream billionaire. And then when you read the blurb, then you can see that it's also a paranormal romance as well. So that was just something like at first I was like, I don't know if I should do this. Is this going to be an issue? But so far it hasn't been. Like I've had really good like responses from people. Everyone loves my covers. I have an amazing cover artist. She's her name's Sarah Page. She's from Opium House and based in Australia, I believe. And she's just like ridiculous. Like she just her covers are so awesome. So I got really lucky in finding her. And so I really want to stay true to genre, but at the same time, like I said, still have like my own twist and my own stamp on it. So like I set apart a little bit from the herd, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know, wasn't aware of a $1 billion
Billionaire romance. Yeah, it's a
Billionaire
huge
romance. That's crazy.
yeah, it's a really big subgenre of romance. It's essentially, obviously, it's normally the male. I haven't seen it with the woman. It could be with the woman, but normally it's like the male character, the hero, is like a cocky, broody, billionaire who is given up on love until he finds his, you know, his heroine who is not a billionaire. And so I just put like a paranormal twist on it. So mine are immortals. Like, so my billionaires are, I have a vampire, a werewolf, an incubus, and yeah, demons, all that good stuff. So I kind of just like blended the two worlds together. But yeah. It's fun. It's fun.
I always thought if a vampire opened up a bank account when they were young and just kept it the interest alone, they could be a billionaire.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like if you live to be 1,000 years old, like I would hope you're good at with money at some point. Like you need to like learn that. Have some good credit.
Yeah. So I'm getting comments that this is the.
I know. I'm looking.
Yeah.
This is pausing. You think Wi-Fi connection?
Usually I see like bars on my side,
Okay.
and I haven't been seeing any. So
me neither. I don't have any kind
I'm
of.
aware.
Yeah.
It is kind of rainy outside. I'm not sure if the weather is affecting.
Okay.
But it just
yeah,
we'll act like everything's normal and hope for the best.
I'm not seeing any delays or anything because I have done StreamYard before where there have been like delays and I can hear my own like voice echoing, but this seems really clear to me. So
yeah,
I hope maybe log like for the people watching, like maybe log off and log back on to see if that helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. If it is, then speed it up and we'll go smoother. I don't know.
Yeah.
Issues of technology and internet and I mean, there's only one thing I can think of to do, but I mean everything seems good on my end, so don't want.
Yeah, same. It seems okay on this end as well. Sorry, people.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Such are streams in general. But
sure.
So you're saying you could write a novel pretty fast, like 2 months is no time at all. Like,
yeah.
Is it a reasonable size like novel that you're talking about? Like,
it depends. Like, so the ones I can write in like 2 months are, well, there's two different things. So my first novel, Blood and Magic, obviously I said it took me 5 years, but then when I had to write the sequels to it, the world was already established. I already knew the story in my head, like how it was going to end. So, and we were rapid releasing them. So I had to like learn to write faster. And so I did write those 2 sequels in 2 months. Now, my spin-off series was something completely new. It was set in the same world, but I knew I had to create like a whole new plot and characters. And that one took me a little longer. Like Smoke and Ritual, I think it took me about a year to write because I was just so meticulous with the world building and really fleshing it out. When I say a year to write, I mean like a year to, I guess, conceptualize, write, and then edit. The actual writing itself probably took 4 months. But my Immortal Billionaires books are 55,000 words. They are standalones. They do have an underlying plot arc that like goes throughout the whole series, but each character's journey is like beginning to end, happily ever after in each book. So, and then when I just get into a rhythm and I outline extensively, so I take like, 1 to 3 days to outline the book out pretty extensively. And then once I have that outline, I'm like out, with the races or whatever you want to say, floodgates are open. And then I just, and if it takes me longer, it's not because of the writing itself. It's because of my own like blocks that I put on myself, like writer's block is really interesting to me because I really think it's like self-inflicted. I'll get distracted, or you just get into a headspace where you're like, I just don't feel like it today, like I'm just not going to do it. And
Right.
that's not really a good way to like have a business. So it's challenging because everyone has their own struggles with things. And especially the way the world has been in the past couple of years, I think we all need to be less hard on ourselves.
Early in his career, like he's jumped around and done different stuff,
Yeah.
but he didn't do that long because that was stressful, and he doesn't like stress. So
That's like the most stressful job in the world.
yeah,
It's like the wrong career. I hope
Of
he's
all
like
these-
I hope he's like working in a retail shop now at like a hotel.
no, he's much older. He's like pretty much semi-retired. He's just
Okay,
enjoying the good life in Florida.
good.
But yeah, it's like, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine working in that environment. Like, just in the movies that I've seen about it, because like that's really all I know about it. It looks like super hectic, and everyone's very cutthroat, and it's like high energy all the time. And yeah, I can't imagine living in that lifestyle.
Well, that's like story fodder for you, right? Like if you're dealing with billionaires, that's like there's so many juicy ways you can go.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. I mean, I draw on a lot of like I'm from an area in California that's considered a wealthy area. I'm not, but but I grew up here. I was born here, and like we have golf and wine is like a big deal here. Like Pebble Beach is sort of like, I don't live in Pebble Beach, but it's close to where I live. And
Right.
so growing up, like being in the restaurant business, yeah, you're waiting on people like this all the time. You're dealing with them in customer service and getting to see how, I mean, they're definitely a different breed of people. Um, and so yeah, I guess I draw on some of those experiences when I'm writing. I remember I was working for the Hyatt as a front desk manager, supervisor for a while. And there was this like really popular group that came out. I want to say it was like maybe late 90s, early 2000s, called LMFAO. You remember them? And they had like a
Yeah.
one hit wonder. And I remember one of the lead singers was staying at our hotel, and somehow I got tasked to like being his friggin' personal assistant the whole weekend. And it was like it was just like something I'd never even like understood before, just like the requests that were coming out. And in the end I ended up having to like charter a helicopter for him because he decided on a whim he wanted to go to San Francisco. And it was like more expensive to do that than just to like fly coach, or whatever, or even first class. It was just like bizarre. It was like 10 times the amount just to fly like a 30-minute helicopter ride. And I thought, wow, this is how people live. Like, this is crazy.
Oh, totally. Yeah. If you got money to burn, then do all sorts of things.
Yeah. It's a funny industry to be in, but you learn a lot about people, and most of them are really nice. But it's just like it's such a like it's night and day compared to like the rest of us, who just see it on TV essentially.
Yeah. The old what was it, Robin Leach show?
Oh my God, yeah.
Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing. The Grey Poupon.
Yeah.
You remember those commercials? The Grey
Yeah.
Poupon commercials. They would just, God, I'm totally aging myself. They would just like roll down the window of the limousine and, oh, do you have any Grey Poupon? It was, yeah.
No, go to Walmart.
Yeah, I have Heinz.
So, have you done any location stuff as far as like book events? I know like you started briefly before the pandemic, and it's mostly been the pandemic.
Yeah, it's been great. Lots of Zoom stuff. Yeah. I did right before like literally weeks before we went into lockdown, I taught a writing class at my local library, and then they were asking me to do a book con they had scheduled for the summer. And I'd be like on a couple panels and, also like sell my books and just, meet and greet and things like that. So obviously that got canceled. And I was also supposed to go to Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle. I had like my very first pro pass. I was really excited. And I still have that hanging on my wall. The convention I did not get to go to. So yeah, I had a lot of different things lined up, and of course they all got canceled. So I'm looking forward to like booking more things again, hopefully soon. But no, I just do a lot of Zoom stuff, which has been great too. Like there's this group of people I met. They have like a writing group in Cincinnati, and where it's like aspiring authors that are trying to learn. And so they've had me on as a guest to talk and answer questions for people about publishing. So that's been really fun. And yeah, because I love chatting with people and I love teaching people whatever they need to know. Like I love sharing like what I've learned with everyone, so that's been super fun too. And then but like on the plus side, like I got hooked up with the podcast because of Emerald City Comic Con getting canceled. They were trying to promote people that had been going, but like obviously didn't get a chance to. So they reached out to me and were like, hey, you want to come on the show to talk about like what you were going to sell when you were there. And and I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. So and we hit it off so well and then kept in touch. And then that's when they and invited me to be a host on the show. So within a lot of the negatives that happened, there were also some really great opportunities that I may not have had if things had been different. So you got to look for like the silver lining.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people have adapted and more people have started working at home, and even those with real offices try to, if I have to go in, I'll go in, but if I can work at home via the computer, I'll get more done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know what Zoom was, to be honest. Like, I mean, I've heard of Skype and stuff before and FaceTiming, but like Zoom, I was like, wait, what is this new crazy thing? So,
Yeah.
I had to like learn Zoom, and I had to buy this microphone and, and learn how to like kind of do it professionally, which was like, I never thought about. I mean, I used to do interviews on my phone, and I'd be like, oh God, why did the audio sound so bad?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's everything happens for a reason. I always say that. And, unfortunately, like it's been tough, the last 2 years. Like some of us are more privileged than others. And it's unfortunate that like what we've been going through. But I think like there's also been, like I said, like you have to sometimes look for a silver lining and kind of like try to, I don't know, find something that you can be hopeful about. Otherwise, it'll just downward spiral, and that's never good for anyone. So,
yeah, it's like if you look at history, there's always something going on at some point, So it's like you just roll with the punches, and I remember like when I was younger and hear older people like, I was working at this place for 20 years, but then they, change things. They got robots doing my job, or whatever. And it's like, regardless of where you work, it's not going to stay the same for
forever,
decades. So it's best to be prepared for that eventuality. And like much like in life, like it's like I love inking, but inking isn't the big thing it used to be.
Yeah.
So in a sense, I'm kind of adapting. I'm kind of like, I got my own projects I'm going to be working on, and I got, working close with other people that still want an anchor. And so it's like, I'm still busy. I'm still working. I'm still, doing
yeah, you have
thing.
to adapt, right? Like you have to just kind of go with the flow. And, like you're lucky that you have the ability to do the art, but you also can write as well, which is half the battle, I think, because there's many comic book creators that literally do one or the other. You're either an artist or you're a writer, and when you can do both, I think you do have somewhat of an advantage. at some point, like to kind of dabble in both areas.
Yeah, it used to be so frowned on because it was such, there's the writer and that's all they do. They write and they, it is a penciler and that's all they do. But now it's completely, it's completely all over the place. And, frankly, I see more surgence of individuals creating their own books and self-publishing and doing all that.
Right.
Have you ever thought of adapting one of your books into comic form?
Not so much adapting into a comic book per se, but actually writing something specifically to be a comic book. I do have ideas for that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't draw at all. I have no like artistic bone in my body as far as like drawing or inking or penciling. I'm strictly a writer, and yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that it's like I haven't yet taken the time to learn. I need to dive into it and learn. How are you writing panels? How does that process work? How do editors work with comics? Because it's a completely different ball game. As opposed to prose. So that's definitely something I want to explore in the future because I do have ideas. I think there's certain things that work really well in novel format, and then there's other ideas that work better in comic book format. So yeah, like I don't think my Immortal Billionaire series would be like a good comic book candidate. They work well for like the genre and the readers that they have, but I don't know. I have ideas for things that are not superhero because that's actually not my. I like superhero comics to an extent, but I'm not like a diehard like, I need to watch every superhero movie on the planet.
Right.
Like, no, I just don't. Like, I have my favorites. I like Batman. I like Harley Quinn, but there's some other ones that I'm like, sorry, I hate to say it, but like, I don't need to watch Ant-Man. Like, I just don't. But yeah, if I was to do a comic, it would definitely be like a fresh idea, like geared towards that. So hopefully when I get my novels like squared away, like as far as like my deadlines for that, then I can kind of delve into that world too.
Yeah, I mean, I look at popular writers that have gone for generations on and on and on and on. Like Stephen King is like a workhorse, and he's I don't know, got 100 books or plus whatever by now.
Yeah, he's crazy.
And he's he's had movies, he's had comic books, he's had stuff online that you can read, that you can't find anywhere else. Stuff, it's like all over.
Yeah, I know he's everywhere.
He needs more merchandise, like Stephen King coffee mugs and bed sheets and.
I don't think he cares though. I honestly think he's just kind of like whatever. I don't really care. I mean, I've heard him in interviews, and yeah, he's quite the interesting person. I mean, he's an amazing writer, but I think he's not. I don't think he's in it for the money. I mean, everyone is in it for the money at some point, but I don't really think that was like his driving force. And it's like James Patterson. James Patterson's the same thing. Like he writes so much. He's super prolific, and he's had novels of his turned into film, and he's kind of like anti-Hollywood. Like I listened to his masterclass, and he was like, yeah, when you get on set, like as the author, they kind of like don't really care what you have to say. They're sort of like just sit there, and like you're just lucky that we let you come on set, kind of a thing,
Yeah, I just like like a lot of people know Stephen King's early beginnings. Was he living in a trailer, and he wrote a book that he threw in the garbage that his wife pulled out and sent it to some publishers.
Yeah. It's a good marriage right there.
Yeah. And so I'm sure like the first money that was coming in was very necessary, but everything after that was okay. I'm making a living over this. It's all good.
Yeah. Eventually, it just became like that was he became a household name. Everybody knew him, and his books, like he said, got turned into films, and I'm not even sure like which was the first one. I want to say it was like either The Shining or It. I can't remember.
First movie?
Yeah, like his first like film based on his books.
Wasn't it Salem's Lot? I want to say. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you might be
I'm not
right. I forgot about that one.
sure.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I remember the first book of his I read, but it's neither here nor there. But
It's I think the first book of his I ever read, um, because I was a teenager and he was already established at that point. This was the 90s. And I want to say the first book of his I ever read was Dolores Claiborne.
okay.
Yeah. And then, Needful Things. I think that was another one.
Yeah, it was a collection
Yeah.
of stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I don't know. Yeah, he's really built quite an empire without like meaning to. He's sort of this recluse. Like he has this little cottage in Maine, which is like every author's fantasy to like have some cottage in the woods, like where you can just write and be super broody and a bottle of whiskey and a fireplace. And I think he's like managed to do that without like meaning to in a weird way,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's still writing. He's, even he could have retired long ago or any point,
Mm-hmm.
and just be totally. But that's his thing. He writes,
Yeah.
I'm sure his writing helped him, like when he was, had addictions,
Mm-hmm.
back when,
Yeah.
helped him get back on track.
Yeah. I think it can go two ways. You look at people like Hunter S. Thompson, who the addiction sort of fueled the writing, or even non-writing wise, like Salvador Dali, who was, painting. Every painting was like a fever dream, you know. Yeah, it definitely has like multiple. It could go either way. Like it either saves you from the addiction, or like the addiction like fuels, I think, the passion or whatever. So I guess it depends on the person.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably fueled his addiction early on, then helped him out of it later on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's also like this huge like stereotype or like fantasy about, you know, the starving artist or like the writer that, sits around and like the Hemingways and, that got like drunk and right and all that kind of stuff. And like I think at times that may be true, but there's a lot of people that, just are sober and don't do that when they're writing. So I think like there's a lot of like stuff in history that like over sort of glamorizes, that lifestyle.
Yeah.
As I say that as I'm drinking whiskey right now, but don't worry about me.
it's only
You know what I mean? Like just
yeah.
don't do as I say, not as I do. No.
Yeah, I mean, I've been asked, like, have you ever drank or did anything wild,
Yeah.
while you're doing your art? I'm like, no, because it's like I need to focus. I need to have a steady hand.
Yeah.
It's like I can create if I'm, fill in the blank. But
Right.
it would be a much different thing than what I typically do. So,
Mm-hmm.
it might look like a fever dream, or it might look like a cave painting,
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you never know. I mean, some people can't function without coffee, like that's their main thing. Like they have to have coffee to do, anything. So everyone has
That's me.
their own vices. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, coffee is a good thing. Sometimes it's meditation, like or yoga or certain types of music. Like, I don't know, like just it's like whatever everyone has their own kind of way to like get into the zone creatively. So it's interesting to me how it's so diverse as far as like what everyone's process is.
Yeah, what you were saying before is like you do other stuff and then you get into your writing, and I find that surprising because it's like you enter the world in the very morning, but then you leave it behind and get into your writing space.
Right.
That
Yeah.
doesn't bother you?
No, because it's like, so I'm super, what's the word? Like, I'm very meticulous and I'm very organized. I have notes for everything. I'm very like into my calendar. Like I put down everything. Like if a friend is coming over, I literally put it in my calendar because I just want to make sure everything's, laid out in front of me and I don't forget anything. So I guess with me, like it's hard for me to get creative if I have a million things on my brain. So getting up and like getting it all out of the way first, like if I have to do the dishes or the laundry or anything like that, like I'd rather just do it all in the beginning of the day and get that out of the way. And then I can sit
Right.
and write because if I don't, then I'm sitting there writing going, "Oh crap, I have to make dinner or I have to do this or I have to do that." And I would rather just not have that, weighing on my mind. But yeah,
That
that's just
makes
my brain and
sense.
how it works. Yeah. It's a
Um,
little crazy, but
because I've heard that like the best, like for your brain, the best couple of hours are like the first 3 hours or 4 hours of your day, like from the
Mhm.
moment you wake up, because I know like
Yeah.
around 12, 1 o'clock for me, it's like I want to pass out. It's like it's
That's like
like
your nap
because
time. Yeah.
yeah, it's like I'm up 6, 7, 8, depending on how late I crashed before the night before.
Right.
And yeah, I go. But then yeah, I want to take a break midday and then pick it up later in the afternoon or definitely in the evening. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a night owl. I stay up till anywhere between, 2 and 3. And that's just I've always been that way. Kind of have a little bit of insomnia, and I like to just be awake at night. And so, I'm not an early riser at all, unless I have to be for something. If I have a commitment to, a show that I have to be
Be
on
somewhere.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I have to be somewhere, then yeah, I can get up, no problem. But for the most part, like I'm like on my own schedule. I'm a full-time at-home writer, so I'm like it doesn't really matter when I get up because as long as I'm on my own, routine and I'm hitting like the deadlines I need to hit, then that's all that matters. So yeah, I stay up pretty late and I wake up I guess anywhere between 10 and 11, which I don't think is like too crazy. And then but I still get everything accomplished that I need to get accomplished. But yeah, those first 2 hours are just me like, "Hello world." Like, I'm awake and just processing like dreams that I've had the night before or whatever. And yeah, just like kind of acclimating with being awake. And then I was creative after that's all done. There's a book that I read, an art. It's called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and it came out probably late 80s, 90s maybe, and it was one of like the first craft artist book I've ever read in my life. I was like probably 16, and she has this whole thing called the morning pages, where when you wake up in the morning, you just info dump everything out of your head, without thinking, just writing sprint for like 3 pages of stuff, right? You just write everything. And then it's this whole
Right.
concept of like getting all that crap out of your head so that like you can like create the rest of your day as just not being bogged down by all of that. So I think that's kind of like what I do. Like I don't necessarily write the morning pages anymore, but I mean with me just yeah, doing like this whole like I need to wake up and I need to do my social media and all that. It's sort of like me getting all that out of the way, and then I can concentrate on actual like writing a book.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Um,
Yeah.
since you brought up dreams, have you ever
Yeah.
had a dream that you used in the book?
Um, I'm trying to think. Not necessarily like that I've used, but like I write like when I have a really, really vivid dream, I write it down. Um, I definitely like have used elements to things. I actually had a plot issue in one of my books that I got solved by a dream. So that was cool. But yeah, no, dreams are really cool. I've been like studying them for a long, long time. I've always been into dream interpretation and like the different like possibilities as to like why they exist, from like even just like a medical standpoint and then also like a spiritual reincarnation standpoint as well. It's just fascinating to me. So yeah, like if I do have a crazy dream, I will write it down. And I did have a dream a long, long time ago that I still have, and I'm still like maybe we'll write like a book about it at some point because it was so real and interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Dreams are crazy. What about
I
you? Have you ever had a dream like that you've used like an idea for?
um I don't think I have. It's like, dreams for me was something I used to do more and
Yeah.
don't do so much lately, but that's more because I'm just trying to push myself, and I
Okay.
don't I don't give myself a chance to wake up when my body wakes up. I'm like insistent that I wake up now, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not giving myself time to dream. But
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I mostly have had good dreams. I mean, I could probably count the number of bad dreams I've had. Um, but it's like I remember the first bad dream I had. It was like when I was really young. We had a
Yeah.
we had a 2-story house with a full basement, and in the you go downstairs to the basement, and in the back room is, it's like half laundry room, half junk room, half furnace room. And it was one of those that you had to add water to, and
Mm-hmm.
you know and I remember in my dream, it's like I was going down there, and somehow, like, it's so long ago now, I don't remember the specifics of the dream, but somehow my father got sucked into the furnace
Oh
and burned alive.
oh no. Like a
Yeah,
nightmare.
yeah, it was out and out. Like, typically I don't have nightmares, but that was definitely.
That's scary. That is
Katie,
scary.
welcome. Katie Fisher.
Katie, yes. Hi, Katie. It's a good friend of mine. Hey, girl. Thanks for joining. And Keith said he read the book I was talking about, The Artist's Way,
Oh, okay.
and did the morning
There you go.
pages. So that's awesome. Thanks, Keith.
Awesome. Um, but yeah, so as far as writing goes, what's the most challenging for you? What gives you the most trouble along the way?
Myself. No. Yeah, it's hard because I think the most challenging thing is really just getting into the right headspace is, no matter how many books you write. I've published 8 books and I'm working on my ninth right now. I have a deadline coming up and yeah, I struggle with sometimes just feeling it. You know what I mean? Like just with so much going on in the world and so much um content, being like delivered into your head at all times. And it's just really hard sometimes to kind of like say, I need to just write. And once I start, I'm good. Like once I read that first sentence of the paragraph, and then I'm like, you can't, snap me out of it. I'm sitting there for 4 to 5 hours, but it's just that initial like motivation to like sit down and do it. I think that's probably the biggest challenge lately for me. And I know a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of authors struggle with that as well because, yeah, it's challenging, because there's so many distractions. You can find things to do that you didn't need to find. Like I'm gonna organize my junk drawer right now because that needs to be done. Like you'll find excuses not to write, but then once you sit down, it's like, oh, okay, this is what I do. This is what I love doing.
Yeah.
It's just like anything. It's like exercise, right? Like we hate exercising, but the minute we start doing it, we're like, oh, I feel great. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner, but it's just that initial like making yourself do it. That's hard. That's part of
Yeah.
my challenge. Yeah.
I find even though I know the answers to like, oh, I'm having a bad day, I can't, I'm spiraling and I can't
Mm-hmm.
get myself out of it. But I know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you just get stuck sometimes. You just get
Yeah.
stuck, and it's
You resist it. You just
yeah,
you just resist it, and you're like, I just not gonna do it. Like that's
yeah.
it. It's kind of like a stubborn way of thinking, I guess. But like what ends up happening is then because I'm a perfectionist at the same time, I end up crunch timing it, and then I'm like, oh crap, I have 2 weeks to write 30,000 words. So now I have created more work for myself than I needed to. And that happens a lot. So I'm good under pressure because I put myself under it. Yeah.
Well, are you good at under pressure, or are you just that's what
No, I am. Yeah. No, like if you give me a
are?
deadline, I'll hit it. Like I'm
Yeah,
very, very good at that. But what I need to do is not make my because it's self-inflicted.
yeah,
Because I've originally like I'll give myself plenty of time, but then I'm like I sort of procrastinate a little bit or I get distracted or whatever. And then yeah, all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, I don't have a choice now. I have to, I have a pre-order up. I have people that have already pre-ordered this book. So I
nice.
have no choice. I have to
Yeah,
finish it. So then I end up, doing those days where I'm writing 8 to 10,000 words a day because I'm trying to like make up for all of my oh, woe is me days. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Were you,
Yeah,
were
I'm a
you
glutton
like
for
that?
punishment.
Were you like that in school? Like, did it carry over? Did you wait to
Yeah,
study at the
I
last
mean,
minute?
totally. Yeah, no, what's funny is when I was in, when I was in high school and stuff like that, of course, like I hated school. And then I actually took a bunch of classes, like as an adult, enrolled in my local community college and took classes that interested me. And I did really well in those, because it was like, it's my choice. And yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed taking classes as an adult in college. Just like working towards something. Even though I'm not looking for a specific degree by any means. It was just more knowledge based. And I did really well and didn't procrastinate at all because I enjoyed what I was learning, but yeah, the writing thing is it's just hard, we get into our own heads and it's like it's I always compare it to like golf, right? Because like you're not really like technically you're not really competing against anyone else. You're literally in a battle with yourself, and I feel
Yeah,
like writing is similar to that. Like you're just trying to like beat yourself at your own game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
ask. Excuse me.
Bless you. I think it was this.
I,
Was it a sneeze or a cough? It sounded kind of like
it
both.
was kind of like both.
Okay.
I was going to say, like, those that adults who take classes and try to learn things, um, as opposed to kids that are not into it. And, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
because as an adult, it's more of a choice. It's like, this is something I want to do. I'm paying my
Right.
good money for it. Of
Yeah.
course I'm going to get something out of it, and it's,
Yeah.
in life, above and beyond just, grade school and high school and all that, it's always good to keep learning and keep
Mm-hmm.
expanding your skills and your knowledge. And, not everything has to be a career per se, but it could,
Right.
we can learn different things on the side of our paths, that will
Mm-hmm.
be helpful.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Anything that keeps
that,
you energized,
yeah, it keeps the brain stimulated. I think that's really
Yeah,
important. Like it does, yeah, like you said, it doesn't have to be for a career. I mean, it can just be because you want to learn and want to be able to hold conversations in any type of environment with people. Makes you more well-rounded person, I think, too. And Yeah, and it also helps my writing, because like I like to study things that are like mythology and history and philosophy that I can, incorporate into my books as well. So, and like I said, just for fun, like it's just fun to learn about stuff. Like, I mean, I don't know, like if that's like nerdy or just because I'm 40 over 40 now, like I don't know. But I like yeah, I like to know stuff.
So having written romance and a lot of different characters, like
Yeah.
would you say you're an expert on human behavior, or
No, not at all. I know. I like I'm getting there. Yeah. No, I think that I enjoy I watch a lot of reality television now, like dating shows, because I feel like I'm doing like research, about like for romance and stuff like that. And I feel like my characters are like way better people than actual people sometimes. Um, but yeah, no, I'm definitely not an expert in anything really. I mean, I feel like we're always growing and learning, and I don't like people that say they're experts, because I feel like that's like sort of like, I don't need to know anything anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's just yeah, I don't like that. So I try to keep going. And do I know a lot? Yes, I do know a lot about romance and romance writing, and like especially the paranormal genre. I've been a vampire paranormal, fan since I was a kid. So yeah, I do know a lot about that. But I will never say I'm an expert.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's like all this knowledge and all these characters you're creating and romances, and it's like, yeah, I have all this knowledge and it's useless to me when I need it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess if you're like a mechanic, right? And like you can say you're an expert because or Keith is apparently an expert.
yes.
Keith Harper is an expert in life. I don't know why. But I don't know many experts. But yeah, I mean, there's certain, I think, areas like science wise, medical wise, like yeah, I'd want an expert like treating me medically, but I mean, as far as like pop culture and like who's an expert, it's all subjective, right?
Right. So with almost 9 novels now,
Hmm.
do you think, are you happy with the quality of your work? Is the
Yeah.
ultimate question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am a perfectionist, so I don't really like to put anything out that I'm not like 100%. I'm my own worst critic. You know what I mean? Like reviews are reviews, but like you could never review my book worse than like I would critique myself, because I'm just a huge perfectionist. So, yeah, no, I am super happy with the quality of my work. I know that I've grown. I know that I'm a better writer than I was 3, 4 years ago, even a year ago, and I'm very confident in that aspect. Do I have a lot of room to grow? Obviously, I think everyone does, even Stephen King. Sorry, buddy, but everyone has room to grow, So,
Yeah.
yeah, but as of now, yeah, I'm totally happy with what I've put out, and I get excited with each book because I know that like each book gets better and better. Right. Like I know that my writing style is stronger and my techniques, and I learn new things, and yeah, like I love it. That's like my favorite thing about writing, really, is just implementing like what I've learned. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've been going just over an hour. Is
Yeah.
there anything
Dinner
we
time.
haven't covered? Yeah.
uh
That you
no, I'm
want
just
to talk
I
about?
think this has been a lot of fun. I love this the style of this format, just like chatting and chilling. And I've been like watching you, draw and ink and stuff. Like that's really cool, because it's not every day that I get to watch somebody work on their comics. So
Yeah.
yeah, this has been fun.
Well, excellent. If I haven't mentioned before, I got a lot of Melissa's links down below. You can check out
Thank you.
where to get her book, her Instagram, I believe, or YouTube, and one or two other things.
Yeah.
But Follow
all my stuff.
her. All your stuff.
Yeah.
All your secrets are revealed.
Right. Exactly. Yes. All of my witchy secrets.
And Katie says
Oh,
you're
and
a
thanks,
good,
Katie. Yeah.
great cook too.
She's a good cook too. Okay, so Katie kills it with fondue, by the way. I don't know if there's any fondue lovers here, but she came over to my house about a month ago and made us the best cheese fondue ever. So yeah,
Nice.
we like to cook on our block.
Excellent. All right, yeah. So if that's it, that's it. Everybody in the chat, thank you for coming and checking us out. Give this video a like so it's seen across the YouTube's that much easier for people. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Even if you're never going to watch another episode, I'm trying to pass 1,000, so that definitely help out. If you want to above and beyond support it, go to my Patreon for $1 or more, whatever. I occasionally throw stuff up there. I could be better, but
Occasionally, yeah.
I'm too busy.
You are, as we all are.
But thank you so much for coming on. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
This has been fun, and
Totally.
I enjoyed talking to you. And
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense that you're an interviewer because you do better than me. So, there.
Oh my God, stop. Thank you for having me on. It's always fun when I get to like sit in the other chair, you know what I mean, like be on the receiving end. So no, you're awesome. I'd love to come back on anytime. This has been super fun.
Excellent. I'll definitely have you on again.
Sweet.
All right, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Have a great one. And